Well, The Schoolboy is a poem written by William Blake, published as part of his poetry collection entitled Songs of Innocence. These poems were later added with Blake's Songs of Experience. It's a poem written in the pastoral tradition that focuses on downsides of formal learning. So let's go through the lines. I love to rise in a summer morn when the birds sing on every tree. The distant huntsman winds his horn and skylark sings with me. Oh, what sweet company! What sweet company! But to go to school in a summer morn, oh, it drives all joy away. Under a cruel eye outward, the little ones spend the day in sighing and dismay. Oh, then at times I drooping sit and spend many an anxious hour, nor in my book can I take delight, nor sit in learning bower, worn through with dreary shower. How can the bird that is born for joy sit in a cage and sing? How can a child, when fears annoy, but droops its tender wing and forget the youthful spring? O father and mother, if buds are nipped and blossoms blown away, and if the tender plants are stripped of their joy in springing day by sorrow and care's dismay, how shall the summer arise in joy, or the summer fruits appear? How shall we gather what grief destroy, or bless the mellowing ear when the blasts of winter appear? Well, let us see the lines. I have already told you people are at home. Recently I have seen a WhatsApp image which tells that the students, children at home, in a tone of supporting the government and governance, say that we are even ready to stay at home even for 6 more months. Already 6 months we have spent. If sincerely ask you, can you frankly answer? Are you ready to come out of your home? Or are you comfortable at home? Do you want to come to college or school? Of course, the answer will be yes. See, here we come across the lines written by William Blake during his time. See, we have seen it is born in 17. He was born in 1789. He is a poet of 18th century. In those days, the system of education actually made him to feel bad, feel very much bad about the system of education. That made him to write these lines, which has become very popular and famous. Now, what does he actually want to say? Let us make an analysis. I love to rise in a summer morn when the birds sing on every tree. He is a poet of nature, just like William Wordsworth. He says that he loves to rise in summer morn when the birds sing on every tree. Distant huntsman winds his horn and the skylark sings with me. Oh, what sweet company! So he is in a sweet companionship of nature. Nature provides him a very good melodies during the summer morning. He says, beautiful, amazing to listen to the sounds or melodies of nature, like birds singing on every tree, twittering of varieties of birds, and even skylarks sings. Skylarks are the kind of birds, they sing even while they were flying very high. Beautifully they sing, just like our cuckoo birds. And even man-made sound like a distant huntsman's wind. When he blows his horn, when huntsman blows his horn, when huntsman winds his horn, kind of sound, that all the sounds that is audible to him in the morning, especially summer morning, so much soothing, so pleasing, so comforting to the schoolboy. Whereas come to the second stanza. When we go to the second stanza, we see the very tone of the poet is very much melancholic, sad, sudden fall of his feeling. What does he say? See, but to go to school in a summer, see, such a pleasing morning, happy, joyous morning, summer morning that nature has provided. See, look at the first line of second stanza. But to go to the school in a summer morning, oh, it drives all joy away. So nature has already given him sufficient joy, made him so joyful in the morning. When he rises from his bed, he is accompanied with the beautiful sound, melodies of nature. Now that he remembers that, after enjoying, even while he was enjoying, after a couple of moments he remembers, around 8:39 or 9:30 or 10 o'clock, oh, I must go to school. So when I go to school, the very thought of going to school drives all joy away. Under a cruel eye outward. What actually drives away the joy of the child? The third line, under a cruel eye outward. This expression refers to authoritarian way of teaching of the teacher. So the third line of second stanza suggests that the villain of the story is none but the teacher. The teacher actually takes away the joy of the child. Why? Because teacher has full of authority inside the classroom. Teacher has full of command over the child. Teacher gives various exercises. Teacher makes the child to think, make the child to speak, makes him to write, react, respond, conducts examinations, asks questions, gives homeworks. Altogether it's really a hell for the schoolboy. And he says that he will spend the day in sighing and dismay. This causes a kind of sighing and dismay. Sense of sigh, dismay, discouraged, totally discouraged. The sense of mood of the child while it is in school. Then at times I drooping sit and spend many an anxious hour. So he has reached the school as usual. He lost all the joys. He became very serious, modest inside the classroom. And quite often, how does he sit in the classroom? Drooping sit drooping, bending very, very much, bowing his head. Drooping suggests his lack of confidence, diffident. The schoolboy is totally diffident in the classroom because it is dominated by the teacher dominated environment. spend many an anxious hour, hour by hour, period by period. What gives the child, schoolboy inside the classroom is anxiety, embarrassment. Nor in my book can I take delight. Okay, in between the class hours, he wanted to find some delight. He wanted to find some relief. Can he get some relax or relief from books? He says no, not at all. Books can never give me any kind of delight. Nor sitting in bower, learning's bower, worn through with dreary shower. Even sometimes the shift of places, especially insofar as education is concerned, shift of room inside the four walls, even during the Blake's time, it was there. Otherwise, he would not have written like this. Learning's bower was there. Taking the child out of the classroom and teaching them in the open air under the tree, that gives a kind of changing atmosphere, even can enable the child to be joyous, learning with joy. But he says that too was not a solution for his problem. Learning bower cannot even provide him delight. Learning bower means nothing but tree, under the tree. So in the first stanza he was speaking about number of trees, probably varieties of trees, on which his focus was the birds and their songs, twittering, various melodious sound. Even on this tree, perhaps there may be some birds. There must be some sounds also, but this bower will not provide him any joy, because it's also associated with school. Whatever is connected to school, even though it is part of nature, is not going to give him any kind of pleasure. Worn through with dreary shower. So this is a terrible, it's a pitiable plight of the child. Or then at times I drooping sit and spend many an anxious hour. Nor in my book can I take delight, nor sit in learning's bower, worn through with dreary shore. This stanza we have already discussed. Next, how can the bird that is born for joy sit in a cage and sing? How can a child, when fears annoy, but droops his tender wing, and forget his useful spring? Beautifully, Blake asks a question. Perhaps it is an introspection, and it's an introspection not only to Blake, even to the readers, even present day, even to the system of education, even to the parents, even to the teachers, and even to the students as well. How can the bird, look at the figurative language he uses. He makes beautiful comparison. Cage, bird and cage. Who is the bird? Bird refers to the child, schoolboy. Cage refers to school. So how can the bird that is born for joy? Basically, bird is born for joy. Bird is free. If that bird is captured by human being and it has been kept in the cage, can it sing? Can it fly? Will it have any natural tendencies? All the natural tendencies of the bird will be vanished if it is kept in the cage. It will not regain it at all. Similarly, it's too much, I think, to compare that school to a cage. But still, we have to make an analysis about this. How can the bird that is born for free, born for joy, sit in a cage and sing? He says, how can he sing? Means, how can he get his own exposure? How can he find self-expression? How can he be innovative if he finds himself in a school like this? No, not only his school, all over the world it was a system. Even today, to some extent, we are following this very same norms. So he says it's very difficult, it's not highly impossible to find the possibilities of a child. It's very impossible to find the possibilities of a child in the schooling system. How can a child, when fears annoy, but droop his tender wing and forget the youthful spring? Direct reference to the child. Fears annoy the child, make somebody hurt, irritated. The child is quite often irritated and hurt. In the name of tender care, in the name of individual attention, in the name of individual care, that child is quite often annoyed. And it is made to forget his childhood days and youthful spring, childhood vibrancy, everything, imagination. So all those things have been shattered. Next stanza, O father and mother, if buds are nipped and blossoms blown away, and if the tender plants are stripped of their joy in the spring day by sorrow and care's dismay. This stanza particularly he is addressing to the parents, elders, guardians, caretakers. O fathers, O mothers, O parents, my dear fathers, my dear mothers. He says, he gives a statement. If buds are nipped and blossoms blown away. Conditional clause. What is being taken place according to Blake inside the classroom is nipping at the bud. Nipping the buds. All the buds are nipped inside the classroom according to Blake. How pathetic it is. How sarcastic he is to the system of education. But I agree, I do agree, I must agree with Blake to some extent, and we have to confess that even today, if it is taking place inside the classroom, in the name of education, in the name of getting good marks, in the name of getting enrolled for better institutions, what actually is taking place is nothing but nipping the child at its bud. We have to confess, including parents, teachers, because child doesn't know anything. We are imposing everything upon the children at the early infancy itself. So he calls father, mother, if buds are nipped and blossoms blown away. Actually, if this is the process, blossoms are blown away. Beautiful flower. He is comparing the children to beautiful flowers with various petals. All these petals are blown away because of the system. And if the tender plants are stripped, tender plants refer to again children. They are there in the school in order to be nurtured by the teachers and system of education. But what is being done there? They are stripped, kind of rip off. It is inhuman and it is even cruel. There we come across, we understand that teacher becomes cruel. But one thing is quite clear. So far as plants are concerned, pruning is good. Pruning is positive. We have to make pruning. We have to undergo every plant has to undergo pruning so that it will yield more. It will look good as well. So pruning is judicious dose of exercises, workloads given to the child. Otherwise, child will be lost. That's good. But instead of that, what the system does is strip the child of their joys, every joy. See, what remains is no joy remains with the child. So, by sorrow and care's dismay, in the name of care, individual, as I told. So, this must not be the case. He says he is condemning that system. As and when he became a poet, he began to think. He realized and he condemns the system of education. Last answer. How shall the summer arise in joy, or the summer fruits appear? Or how shall we gather what griefs destroy, or bless the mellowing year when the blasts of winter appear? Last couple of lines, with a lot of, he asks certain questions which are unanswerable. Cannot answer, nobody can answer. Mysterious, some mysteries of nature. Man claims that we have conquered nature. We know everything, every changes of nature, every courses of nature. We have subdued nature. But it's wrong. Can we answer? Can anybody answer this question? How shall the summer arise in joy, or summer fruits appear? Can any scientist answer this? It's mysterious. Why summer arise with joy? Why does summer give joy to the people all over? Or why does summer brings fruit? Why does summer bring food? Fruit. Varieties of fruits we enjoy during summer days. Why? This question is really mysterious. Nobody can answer. Or how shall we gather what griefs destroy? See, other side. Grief has destroyed or shattered or devastated the child. So, child which has full of joy in its heart, when it comes to the school, this joy is replaced with the griefs, and that grief has destroyed all the imagination, self-expression, innovativeness, creativity. So, child has lost everything. Beautiful imagination. So, can we gather it back? Can we pay it back when the child grows up? Or bless the mellowing year when the blasts of winter appear? So, again, winter and summer, we can understand, we can read it as the comparison for school and child. Schoolboy. Summer morning. Here summer is schoolboy, full of joy. Whereas winter, see, it's horrible. It's very much difficult to, sustain that winter, especially in European countries. So in this way, Blake winds up what he wants to say. So education, system of education, actually he is going to condemn with these lines. Beautifully he has written. So we can see the outline summary like this. The first few lines of the poem marks the freshness of summer morning and fragrance of innocence. The boy expresses his liking towards the song of birds and huntsmen blowing the horn. He likes the company, but suddenly the joy turns bitter as he should attend the school and sit in the classroom under cruel eyes of the teacher. It drives all the energy and the joy of summer. The boy is compared to a bird in cage, meaning he was born to be free, but instead now he is trapped inside the classroom for formal education. Okay. Beautifully, this poem is arranged in 6 stanzas with 5 lines in each. And poem reflects William Blake's thought of alternative method of education. The world has already found it. It shows the draining element of a classroom education and how it causes students to contribute poor learning. The poet promotes learning outside classroom, especially learning in nature, which increases natural creativity. As a poet of romanticism, William Blake has shown the importance of nature in the poem. The references such as summer, wind, blossom, rain, showers, birds, spring relate to the importance of nature. So, let us to sum up. I must say, to conclude like this. an educational system isn't worth a great deal if it teaches young people how to make a living but doesn't teach them how to make a life. We are focusing on making a living, how to enable the child to get an earning in his life. But we often neglect the part of making a life. Formal education will make you a living, self-education will make you a fortune. So, self-education, educating oneself, that's what is important. Now, of course, what Blake has said is to some extent or to a greater extent is related to our lives, but we have undertaken a lot of changes, corrections, rectifications in the field of education. We give due importance nowadays to the students' innovativeness, self-expression, creativity, and nowadays teaching and teaching learning process is very much focused on child. It's child-centered rather than teacher-centered and child-focused. Ample of opportunities are there for the child to get himself exposed and as well as get himself joyful inside the classroom, learning with joy. This kind of alterations we have already brought out in our system, but still there are many aspects where we lag behind. So such things should never take place in any institutions for that matter. So I'll conclude. The rest of the exercises and works will be given in the coming class. Thank you.